Hello, welcome back to the garage. Now that all the daily drivers are running smoothly, it's time to get back to the Mini. And as you can see behind me, I've got some metal to put in it. Or at least I've got some tools to take the metal out of it. How much metal I actually get put back in, that's another question, but we'll see how we get on.
Oh dear.
Oh, fire. You don't need a special tool, you need a special tin. Okay, so here beside me you see quite a lot of panels. Let me show you what I've got to put in. Okay, so obviously rear valance. I've also got the two rear valance closing panels that have this extra bit of subframe mounting metal on them. I probably don't need that bit because I've also got the extra bit of metal on those ones, but hey, what's a bit of extra metal? It doesn't hurt. So yes, got the three-piece rear panel pieces, so the two separate corners and the separate middle with the bumper lip. Obviously I've already explained to you these two. We've got the arch mountings, and these are a just in case. They weren't very much pennies, but you know, one for each side, because at the moment I don't have a lip on that side or that side where the seam should go on the edge of the arch. It's been smoothed, so yeah, I got them just in case. And then for later down the line, not for today at all, I grabbed a pair of sills and some jack mounts. I'm not sure how far I'll get into the sills and all the rest of it right now. They're not at an MOT failure sort of stage, but they do require attention, and I don't have any jacking points. So yes, these are all barring these brackets here, the black ones. So that's the subframe to arch support and the jacking point on both sides. They are heritage parts because there was really not any difference in price between them and the heritage ones. They're in the non-heritage ones. These two end bits of floor pan you've already seen. These were M Machine, and everything else is Magnum panels. The reason I went with Magnum is because you spend some time making sure heritage ones fit sometimes anyway, so it's the back of the car. As long as it's not rusty and not going to go rusty in short term, I'm happy, and it's heavy enough gauge metal. I'm kind of happy with it. So yeah, I guess we start by cutting off the rear valance, and then you'll see how much filler's in there. Okay, have a look in here. I've just taken this corner off, as you've seen. I thought I'd show you how much filler was actually in this smooth boot lid. It gets worse as it goes up. It's probably close to peak thickness there, but that's a hell of a lot. My reason for cutting the corner off is, I mean, you see there's the tip of my finger. The top is kind of here, and I want to kind of work up to it gradually. If I can get away with not cutting everything out here, I will do, but I want to take this section. I'll do the same in the other bit, then I'll do the middle bit, because I'll be able to see better where the original boot floor is. Now I know I'm cutting it out, but if I can cut out and then reuse some bits in the future, maybe I will do. I'll keep hold of them. I say that this corner here, I want to go that the arch goes below the level of the boot floor, so I've obviously gone underneath it. I will come up because it's about here, as you can see with the other line. It's up there somewhere, but not yet. It's not. I'll do that bit in a bit. I'm not going to keep this horrendous piece of filled metal work. I mean, that's almost as heavy as the moon. Anyway, back to angle grinding. the rear valance is off, and obviously you saw this piece here, there's quite a bit of filler in there. You can see along that whole seam there's quite a bit of filler in there as well, but what you haven't seen is quite how much filler was sitting in that other corner. In the difficult corner that I knew had a lot of filler in it, I'm actually surprised to see how much filler was in it. That's this corner here, so you can see where it came out of. So when I started welding on that original valance, I started there and I started welding across, and I was sort of cutting the lip off and welding it flat and smoothing it in as best I could all the way along. Obviously not well enough. When I got to here, the panel had actually shrunk, so it didn't fit. Rather than fixing it in each corner and once in the middle to keep it on track, and then doing one in between and building it up as you learn on the way. This was one of those learning times. So yeah, that's a seriously heavy bit of panel with, I mean, yeah, look at it. That's so much filler in there. So the car's going to have some serious weight reduction on this side anyway, even with all the extra metal that's going in and the bumper lip. Right, onto this. So what I've done is I've got the new hinge panel, and it's, as I suspected, wider than I need it to be for the replacement corners, which are here. So these corners go to the inner line. I kind of just drew a line sort of like 15-20 mil inside of where that sits, and I kind of just eyeballed whereabouts the hinge holes are hidden behind all this. So the hinge holes are about where they need to be, and this, if it's in place, goes to the random 20 mil outer line. The hinge panel goes over there, so there's a nice bit of overlap to kind of have a bit of play with. So what I'm going to do now is lose the back panel to here and the boot floor all the way down, so this whole middle section then comes out. I think that's a good idea, and the noise in the background is the boy having some basketball. Say hello, Austin.
Hello.
Actually, before I cut that out, it's worth making you aware, if you're a beginner watching this, if you've done metal work on minis before, you'll know this can happen, and it happens in various places, but I thought I'd better make you aware of this because you can get really caught out here if you're not careful. Okay, you'll see I've got a ruler in here, and it is always worth noting the distance between mounting holes. So I'm roughly in the centre of the hole there, and I'm roughly in the centre of the hole here at 980 mil. The reason I'm checking this and making a note of it now is because I'm going to remove this whole middle section of back lip. The valance has already gone, and the boot floor. Now what can happen is there could be some residual tension in the shell, and as I cut through this that's joining them together, the two parts can separate, and they can separate by enough that when you come to put it back together, if you don't check that those holes line up, you could be in a pickle. You could end up with a panel that's ever so slightly out of tolerance somewhere. And bear in mind, I am replacing all of these panels here. Everything you see below this line here to the bottom of the boot floor here, or the bottom of the valance, is going to be replaced. So also worth noting, if you're unaware, is coming out here, the bumper lip consists of three pieces of metal. You've got the valance that goes up and over, you've got the boot floor, and then you've got the rear panel which goes and up. So it's, there's quite a chunk of metal here, and there's three layers holding it all together. So yeah, as I cut this out, we'll have a look and see whether the gap grows. Obviously you're going to end up with a cut line where the angle grinder goes, but it's only like a 1mm disc that I'm using, if they're even that. So yeah, just we'll cut this and then we'll see. I said the gap can open up, didn't I? So there we are. We're back on our top point here. What I didn't mention is that the gap can also close. So where it was 980 mil before, we are only a couple of mil, 978, 977. But still, it is smaller. The as I was cutting through the very last piece, which was this very back bit here to change the blade, it actually got pinched. as the metal came out of the way and there was still tension on it. So just be aware that as much as it's there, you cut a chunk of metal out and there's nothing holding the two sides together, those two sides can split, they can come together, you know, there's all sorts of possibilities. Now, albeit risky, my reason for doing this is access. I can't do, or I don't want to try, to do these side panels, which go all the way out to the boot lip, and I've got to cut these off. I don't want to do that from trying to slot it in underneath. This just gives me so much more access. Look, I'm in the car, I'm out of the car, I'm in the car, I'm out of the car. So I can cut all of this bits out, here and here, and I can deal with it by just sitting in a nice empty space. I say empty space, it's not an empty space, but still, you can see the welding work I did here. Not great, but you know, it did what it needed to do at the time, and I will thank my friend Dave for doing the filling for me, because it's not something I was ever good at. To be fair, at the time I don't think metalwork was something I was any good at. I'm not even sure I'm good at it now, but I've definitely had more practice, so that's something. Anyway, let's get these brackets detached from the arches. Oh, hang on, got some stuff on the lens here. Yeah, that's never a pleasant task, is it? Grinding a load of metal out of the way, especially when it was designed not to be easy to be done. But we've got so far. Let's show you where I'm up to. Okay, so we have cut out of each corner, and I've removed the bracket, and there's not so much in the way of rust here. It's a bit more further down there, not so much in the bottom on that. This side, however, obviously I've put a patch in here before, but you could just see why I wanted to get in here and deal with this before it becomes an issue. There was also a big lump of seam sealant in here and all the rest of it, but it's just starting to get ugly in there. So I'm going to cut as much of this out as I can. The trick is to gradually work your way back to where you need to be. Obviously I don't need this lower half here. I could go to this seam, cut down and around. I'm just not going too far before I need to. So I'm going to take these inner bits of floor out along here. I'll do the same here, cut that bit out, and then I think I'll do the bottom bit, and then I think I'll do these bits, so it's straight lines, obviously angle grinder and all that jazz. And as for down here, I've cut just along the side of this plate where this metal here is actually okay. I'm thinking I might put the new panel either underneath or on top of this. I haven't quite decided yet. I'll figure that out when I get there. I might take this plate off, I might replace this plate. This plate is actually non-consequential for dry subframe cars. I've got a feeling that went in, and so did these, for the bump stops for the hydroelastic cars, and just never got taken out again. Obviously it's got the seatbelt mount bracket bolted to it and the arch bracket bolted to it and everything, but I've got a feeling that's all that reinforcement was there for, is the bump stop for the hydro cars. But yeah, never got changed, never needed to be changed, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So yeah, that's where we're at. I'm gonna have a cup of tea. Okay, so as I said about slowly but surely cutting bits out and sneaking up on the edge of the bits that you need to remove, that's where we're up to. So it's just a case of bit by bit. It's more difficult one side than the other because of the way the angle grinder spins. So this section was easier on the other side, and this section here was easier on this side. It's just the way things roll. But I would just do, as you can see, run a slice down as close as you can get, one down, and then put the angle grinder up and chop that bit off, and just sort of cut chunks off bit by bit by bit. All you're eventually left with is the edge with all the spot welds on it. So I can now see these, and I can get the flap wheel out. I might even flap this edge back to flat. I know you could use a grinding wheel. I find a flap wheel a bit more effective in this, or I've got a rubbish grinding wheel, but I can grind all these bits back to the underneath panel, and then I can look at what I'm going to do here, because I have got this whole panel section, this bottom corner from about there downwards to the flange. I don't know whether I'm going to run it or not. I'm a bit 50-50. There's no actual lip on here, but it wouldn't be the end of the world to put a lip on here, but there's just kind of like an ugly bit up on that edge where the original corner panel went. So yeah, I'll have a little stare, have a little think. I might end up running the line here, then I can put that corner piece in. We'll see how I feel and how it looks. So the other side is in a very much similar state. So I have stopped at that panel under there. Just wanted to assess what else I need to remove. So yeah, that's where we are so far. I think at the length of this video I'm going to stop this here and just tidy up what I've got. This time is getting on, and it won't be too long now, and it'll be kids' bedtime and dinner time. So with all that said, I'm going to leave it there for now. Hopefully I'll be back out again a couple more times this week. Again, it's weather dependent, you know, the summer's not really summering this year, but I'll be back out, and I will be filming every time I do stuff, and thinking and looking at it when it's not good enough weather. I'm just get the cover off, have a stare at it in between rainstorms if that's what the case is. But have a little think, and have a little stare, and I'll see you on the next one. So yeah, thanks for watching, and have a nice week.